In general, signs like this one tend to get driven past and unnoticed by about 10 to 15 cars for every one car that turns to follow it, maybe even more. But the event taking place on Saturday, November 19th, here in Turners Falls at the Franklin County Technical School seemed to be throwing that statistical model out the window. I've actually lost count of the number of times I've driven past the sign for a crafts fair. In fact, I've never been to a crafts fair in my entire life. Known as the Little Drummer Craft Fair, it got its start at the Holy Trinity School in Greenfield over a decade ago as part of the Candy Cane Carnival. When that school closed, a relative of the Greenfield organizer, who ran the music program here at the tech school, took it over and used the fair as a means to raise money for the program's drumline.
So we did that. All the drumline kids helped out organizing, working at the fair, and all the money, all the proceeds raised went towards that particular music program. Unfortunately, the music program closed down, so we decided that any proceeds were going to go to the Franklin County Tech School students as scholarships.
This juried fair features countless vendors scattered throughout the gymnasium, as well as down the hallway leading to the lunchroom. It's a fun and friendly gathering that allows the visitors to browse and purchase, and the vendors to sell and socialize.
More than anything, it's just nice to get to see a lot of people who can actually engage with your own art, and you get a sense of what people are interested in, and you get to discuss what you make with them. You get to find out what kind of things really appeal, especially in terms of like people wanting to learn the craft and know more about the nuts and bolts of what goes into it. And that's always really fun to get to actually just engage people about that, because you can't get that if you're sitting at home at your studio.
And apparently there's no age restriction on who can set up a booth, as this 9-year-old young man proves. This is his third craft fair, and he gave us a nice little rundown on how he puts together his wood art.
I make a list of all these pictures I want printed, and then I cover all the scrap boards with acrylic gel medium or polyurethane, and then I put the picture upside down on it, so the paper is facing up, the plain paper, and then I let that dry for 12 to 24 hours, and then I rub it off with a wet cloth, and then after that dries for a little bit, I sand around it to make it look like it's blending in, and then I oil the whole board.
In keeping with the original theme of raising money for school programs, the welding shop gets in on the action every year as well.
We teach all kinds of welding, all forms of welding, and we like to have a little bit of fun and raise a little bit of money for our program. So we make some of these projects for the craft fair. So this is all student-made projects, and some of it's stick welded, some of it's MIG welded, and it's all in sheet metal and fabrication. And we make things for the craft fair that help benefit our program, so we can buy shirts and go on field trips and stuff.
Of course, it's also a chance to get some shopping done. For vendors and patrons alike, this may be the one time per year that they get to cross paths. So it's also a chance to establish relationships.
Most of the people are either buying Christmas presents for themselves or they're out here, and I've had more people, because this is my second year, stop by and say, "Oh, I'm glad you're here because I bought one last year for my friend, and I want to buy more of them for my family now."
It's just an amazing fair. I'm just so thrilled that it turns people a good profit, especially this time of year. One vendor told me this is her Christmas. This is how she takes care of Christmas at home. These people, I believe, they walk away with a good amount of money, and that's what I want them. I want them to come back next year.